Good day, everyone. This Bible Sami Mary once again. I'm here to share some biblical truths with us concerning women that position themselves for fulfilling purpose in the scriptures. And today we'll be talking about Ruth the Moabites. Many of us have been familiar with the notion about Ruth the Moabite. But today we are going to be focusing on how she positioned herself via instruction and direction from her mother-in-law, who happened to be God sent to her, who happened to help her to position herself during the journey. So we have to quickly go into a brief introduction about Ruth. Ruth is the daughter-in-law of Naomi, as we all know, and she come from a background at which they don't even know God. So Ruth is from the descendant of Lot. That is the two daughters of Lot. When they slept with their father, he gave birth to the Moabite, and that's where Ruth is a descendant of the Moabites. So having an understanding about that, now let's take a look at the life of Ruth. When a woman got married, she got married to the husband, and eventually the husband died. But because God have a plan and purpose for each and every one of us life, and that is why Ruth's case was not an exceptional in the sight of God. So I'm putting it out there to you. It doesn't matter what you're going through. God has a plan for you. God has a plan for you. The only thing that you need to do is to walk into the plan of God. Now we're going to be considering the life of Ruth. How Ruth was able to position herself and to align herself in the course of the journey in which God has already designed for her. The first thing that Ruth did was to believe. Do not let us forget that Ruth was from a descendant of Moabite who doesn't believe in God. They are idol worshippers. But because Ruth found herself in a family whereby they have a God in which they believed in. And when the mother-in-law was trying to persuade her that, oh, go back, go and meet your people, she made a statement that really shook me. She said, your people will be my people, and your God will be my God. That is, Ruth believed that there is a God in existence that can even make things, even when the mother-in-law was persuaded that am I going to give birth to a child? Even if I give birth to a child, the child won't even be able to remarry her. But despite the fact that she said that, she was so consistent in following her, in believing in the God that Naomi served. And that was what formed the basis, that was what formed the bedrock of our aligning into the purpose of God for our life. So the first thing that we need to do is to believe that there is a God that exists. A God exists that works in the supernatural. And he have all power to align us. He will have been beckoning on you, just like in the case of Ruth. So we just have to believe. And that is why it is very important on our journey with God that believing as a central focus on our spiritual journey. Now let's go back to the case of Ruth. And when Ruth actually followed Naomi back to Bethlehem where they lived, the people accepted her. And she was also diligent. Another thing that she looked up to what she can do so that her mother-in-law and Asha will also survive. She wasn't just looking at, oh, I'm just a little girl. Okay, now I can just start going around. But no, she inquired from her mother-in-law. Okay, she said, okay, let me go out and glean with the people, not knowing that that is why it is very important that every of our steps, they are ordered by the Lord. And that scriptures are very, very important. So if our steps are ordered, I believe God ordered the steps of Ruth. Because for God to have allowed her to go and glean in the oh my goodness, in the field of Boaz, it was God ordering her steps. And when she got there, she was diligent enough. She carried herself with dignity. She moved with people. Extended she extended her good morals towards them. She was not hostile towards them. She was friendly towards them. And when Boaz came, she had a testimony of her goodness. And another thing we need to learn from the story is that our characters. If you believe in God and your character is not in place, my sister, my brother, my father, mother, your character has a paramount role in you fulfilling purpose. Fine, you might have the anointing, you might have everything, but once your character is not centered on Christ, once you can't relate to people without picking offense. Please, if you see in the case, the testimony that people gave when Boaz later found out, oh, this is Ruth, Naomi, the testimony that people gave to us concerning her made her to be a good, virtuous woman. And now, today, if we are going to be going in the history of the birth of Jesus Christ, we see that Boaz, Ruth, and when Ruth, the one thing about it that in the journey of our lives, every of our steps are ordered. And in the case of Ruth, Ruth was not an exceptional. So it doesn't matter how old you are. It doesn't matter how many things you have passed through. God has a plan for you. God has a plan for each and every one of us. So the only thing we need to do is to align ourselves. Who are the people that we look up to? Who are the people that we yield ourselves to listen to the instructions from? So when we are believing God, God will put some structures in place for us. And in the case of Ruth, the structure that God put in place was Naomi. And Ruth did not disrespect Naomi because she knows the position that Naomi carries in her spiritual journey. So Ruth does not neglect the path of spiritual guidance. Even it was even Naomi that, oh, this mermaid, this maiden has actually served believing God, and she do everything in her best. And look at it, in the long run, look at what God said to Ruth with Boaz. So we have learned today that spiritual guidance, instructions, reference to spiritual authorities, and belief in God goes a long way in us fulfilling our purpose. Thank you for having such a wonderful time with you. It's my pleasure once again. Bye.